Diddy is setting Diddy up. He ain't doing different.
Complaint, simply allegations, need to be proven in a court of law, but if true, it could rise to the level of criminality, and, we'll see what happens after the DA looks and investigates.
But man, they always say real ones move in silence, but this was a roar. Jay-Z just walked into that courtroom like a ghost with receipts. No entourage, no Beyoncé, no Roc Nation banners. Just him and the truth, or at least his version of it. And when he spoke, the whole room shifted. Cause what he said wasn't just for the judge. It was for the streets, for the culture, for everybody that ever wondered how deep this Diddy mess really goes. And who else might have known? Now look, this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Don't go quoting this like it's gospel in a courtroom. We just breaking it down. Peace and power, family. Welcome or welcome back to Panda Press. I'm P the Panda, and here we talk about what's going on in the world. Then we break it down, so maybe we all walk away a little smarter. And today, we got a bombshell. Let's talk about what happened when Jay-Z took the stand. So the room was already tense. Court had been dragging through motions and paperwork. Typical lawyer stuff. Diddy's lawyer sitting there looking bored, maybe even cocky. And then, boom, doors swing open. Not gently, not quiet, that kind of entrance that says, yeah, I'm here, let's get this over with. Jay-Z steps in wearing a Navy suit sharp enough to cut tension.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
No crew, no smile, just presence. He didn't look at nobody, not Diddy, not the reporters, just walked straight through like a man who already buried what he had to say and came to dig it back up. People in the room shook. One journalist dropped her pen. Even the judge raised her brow like, okay, so this is real. And Diddy? Man, Diddy looked like he saw a ghost. He turned slow, locked eyes with Jay, and didn't blink. This wasn't on the schedule. Jay had asked to give his statement in private, behind closed doors, but the court denied it, said transparency matters.
Here's this guy from neighborhood similar to where I grown up that made it to these unreachable heights. Puff was the first one that came through and made us feel like, it was us. It was ghetto fabulous. We took our rightful place at the tables and the boardrooms and the fashion shows, and, we arrived.
So now, Jay-Z was about to speak, not with bars, with memory. He sat down, took the oath. The whole courtroom, from prosecutors to music bloggers to label lawyers, leaned in like he was about to drop the verse of the decade. And then he said it. I came here because silence ain't an option no more. And right there, everything changed. Jay didn't start with denial. He started with truth, or at least context. Yeah, I went to some of Diddy's events. Yeah, I was around. But what I saw and what y'all say happened, two different realities. Then he dropped the bomb. I saw the setups, the phones being taken, the back rooms with curtains. I ain't go in, I ain't signed nothing, but I knew. Man, hit that like and subscribe for more. Don't stop the flow. Because when Jay-Z says, I knew, and he's under oath, that's not just a statement, that's a fracture.
She actually died screaming, and the Carters are responsible. But one of them is just a little more responsible than the other. Question is, did Sean Carter delete his mistress, his pregnant mistress, because his wife was jealous? Or could it be possible that maybe his wife's temper is just a little worse than most people think? And maybe he just had to clean it up to protect the brand's sake.
That's him pulling back the curtain just enough to say, yeah, something was off. I just chose not to look deeper. Then he gave specifics. A 2015 party in Miami, supposedly for Diddy's son, Christian. Jay says it felt off. They had masks. One dude walked by in leather and high heels, and he looked scared. Jay said he dipped early, called his own driver, didn't want no parts. Then, boom, the prosecution dropped a photo. Jay-Z, Diddy, LeBron, Beyoncé, and a man in a latex mask kneeling on a velvet pillow. Jay looked at it, calm, said he was told it was performance art, but he ain't laugh, and he ain't stay. Then he looked dead at Diddy and said, you knew people trusted you. Bruh, that hit like a punch. Diddy's jaw dropped. So after that moment, Jay-Z didn't let up. He told the court about a private convo he had with Diddy, late 2018. When whispers started moving through the industry like smoke. Jay said Diddy hit him up like, yo, they coming. You gotta be careful who you stand next to. Jay hit him back straight up. Did you do anything I can't come back from? And what did Diddy say? It's just parties, Jay. Just experiences. Nobody gets hurt unless they want to.
What do you mean by that?
Man, that's not an answer. That's a dodge with a smile.
Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freakoffs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freakoffs sometimes lasted days at a time.
Jay's voice cracked when he said it, like it still sits heavy. That was the last real conversation we had. After that, Jay started pulling away. No more revolt events, no more collabs. Told Roc Nation to keep their brand far from anything Puff was touching. And then, boom, the prosecution brought receipts. They showed an email exchange from early 2020. Jay's legal team was warned. Some of them old NDAs, they could be used against folks, even if they weren't directly involved.
We expect Mr. Carter to be fully cleared of all of this in the coming days. Almost nothing that she says has checked out because this never happened.
Jay nodded. I knew what that meant. They were going to use silence as a shield, and I wasn't about to get caught behind that. Then he dropped the line that made headlines before court even recessed. He used to be my brother, but now I see who he really was, and who I almost became by standing too close. Room went quiet. Even the judge looked up like, damn, but it didn't stop there. Jay leaned forward in the witness chair, hands folded, and said, I need to speak about my family, because when they dragged his name, they dragged all of them. He looked at the jury, real steady. Blue Ivy's old enough to read headlines now, he said. She asked me what a freak-off was. Man, ain't no father supposed to explain that to his daughter.
It was interesting. When I was saying things, not knowing exactly what I was saying, I was going, where's Jay at? He's mad quiet. Like while the Puffy thing was going on. But it's obvious now that his team was being made aware that he was in those allegations also.
Jay said after the lawsuit hit, paparazzi camped outside their crib. Reporters outside Blue's school. It wasn't just drama anymore. It was war. He said, my wife stood by me through everything. But this was different. This wasn't business. This was a bomb dropped on my family. And the worst part, it was all based on a lie. Then he addressed one of the biggest claims, that he and Beyoncé were at the infamous 2015 Miami freak-off. Jay opened a folder. Calm, pulled out flight records, photos, hotel receipts, time-stamped videos. On that night, we were in Paris, he said. Our anniversary, Hotel Plaza Athénée. The court reviewed everything. The judge asked the clerk to verify. It all checked out. Jay had receipts, literal ones, but he didn't stop with just clearing his name. He called out the culture, the blogs, the gossip, the clickbait. When did we stop demanding proof? When did accusation become conviction? He looked around the room, said his reputation ain't just about him. It's tied to his wife, his kids, his legacy.
John Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane, to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyoncé, who was struggling. Let's just say allegedly that happened.
I spent decades building something clean, something that lifts our people, and one headline, with no proof, just smeared it all. He mentioned Beyoncé again, but not like a shield. He talked about her as a mother, a woman who ain't deserved none of this. I came here to defend truth and to make sure no one, not even a billionaire, gets away with burying people in lies. Then came another big rumor, the Miami party at Gloria Estefan's house.
Typically, the victim is lured into a situation where he or she is given a drink. Typically, that drink, reported by these victims, is apparently laced with something. Once that drink takes effect, the perpetrators perform all kinds of sexual acts on the victims.
Jay looked at the jury. I've never, in my entire life, been to Gloria Estefan's house. Not in Miami, not anywhere. And again, he came with documents, security logs, itineraries, event programs. He was in LA that night, hosting a charity event for the Sean Carter Foundation. He even brought the speech transcript and photos with the mayor. The court showed a screen with the timestamp from the museum's entrance log. Undeniable, but the real hit was what he said next. Jay broke it down. He said it ain't always about facts anymore. You don't need a lie to be loud, you just need it to be repeated. That's how his name got tied up in this mess. Not from a witness, not from evidence, just because he went to some brunches. Now he's guilty by association.
Said that he alleges that Diddy strapped a to his face and made him parade around a party. And he says that in this party, Jay-Z, Beyonce, LeBron, and Gloria Estefan saw him in rare form because of this.
Tell me, Jay, to see a 14-year-old girl come in the studio and sit on R. Kelly's lap. You can't tell me, do you want to sit here and tell me that working on that album, that he ain't never seen no 14-year-old girl come in the vicinity?
My belief is that anybody who's worked with him and been in his cipher has seen it go down.
He told the jury, one article said, I was at a place I've never been. That became 10 articles, 1,000 tweets, and a lifetime of damage. He even showed a report tracking how many blogs copied the same false claim. Not one reached out, not one fact-checked, and then Jay turned to the prosecution and dropped the bar. If you're gonna drag a man into a trial this big, you better have more than gossip and guesses. Jay-Z looked at the jury, kinda like your uncle who's tired of the nonsense.
Mr. Should I call you Mr.?
And he said, I've been called a lot of things in this industry, but Illuminati puppet, master manipulator, murderer by association, that's new. He started listing all the wild accusations, that he helped take out Aaliyah, that he orchestrated Michael Jackson's death, that he covered up for Diddy's freak-offs. None of it with a shred of proof, but it spreads, because the internet don't need proof, just good editing and creepy music. Then he pulled out a Reddit thread, thousands of upvotes, connecting him, Beyonce, and Diddy like they run a secret society or something. Held it up in court. This is what passes for journalism now. And honestly, he wasn't wrong. Jay said these theories start messing with real lives. Family members followed, business partners backing out, death threats over internet fiction. But then he admitted something heavy. I didn't speak sooner because I thought the truth would be obvious. But maybe I underestimated how fast lies move when they come with good production value. You ever hear a billionaire admit that? That silence made it worse? That hit different. Then he paused, looked at the jury and said, I'm not asking you to like me. I'm asking you to listen, to think, to demand proof. Because if we don't draw the line here, none of us are safe from what comes next. Then the prosecutor stepped up. Dude was known for making stars sweat. He adjusted his glasses, locked eyes with Jay, and went in. You say you were never at Gloria Estefan's house. You've shown us logs, receipts. That's compelling. Jay just nodded, because it's the truth. The prosecutor said, you've been to other Diddy events, right? Jay answered calmly, yeah, public ones, industry stuff, nothing like what's being described here. Did you ever see anything inappropriate? Jay paused, not for long, but enough for everybody to notice. Then finally said, number I saw celebs networking, music, normal stuff. What about Cassie? Ever see her distressed? Jay's jaw tightened. She was around, but I never saw her in pain. Never saw what she's saying now. Then the prosecutor got slick. So when you hear about these so-called freak-offs now, you're saying you were completely blindsided? Jay shot back, I didn't see it. And if I had, I wouldn't be testifying. I'd be on trial. Then the prosecutor tried it, hit him with, that's what Russell Simmons said too. Whole courtroom gasped.
As far as, is he gonna turn people in? Is he gonna cooperate? If the federal government wants him to cooperate and they gonna cut his time, because right now he's looking at 15 to life. With all the charges he has to, he won't get out until 70 years old. He about 70, that's when they start talking about letting him come to a halfway.
Jay blinked just once, but his lawyer was already on it. Objection, sustained, but the shade stuck. Prosecutor tried to paint Jay as another powerful man saying, I didn't know. Jay took a breath, let the weight settle, then dropped the final line of the day. I'm not here to protect Diddy. I'm here to protect my name. That hit like a sledgehammer. Cause at the end of the day, that's all any man really got. Jay stepped down, adjusted his suit. No Beyonce in the gallery, but her absence felt loud. He walked out the side door with security, but the room still buzzing. Some folks looked vindicated, others shook. Reporters texting like crazy, social media lighting up. Jay-Z breaks silence under oath. Jay defends Beyonce from Diddy ties, but the jury, stone-faced. One lady scribbling notes non-stop. One young guy just staring at the empty chair. Even the alternate juror looked like he was trying to solve a puzzle with no box cover. And Cassie didn't flinch the whole time. But when Jay mentioned Blue Ivy, She looked up, not with sympathy, more like curiosity. Was Jay telling the truth or saving himself? Back at Roc Nation, quiet, no official statement. Jay's lawyer just said he testified truthfully. We stand by his integrity.
They also say that you told them, and they have it on tape, that I, Tony Busby, told you to came up with this plan and told you to say that Jay-Z assaulted you so you would get more money.
No.
But the streets don't wait. TMZ, Shade Room, NY Times, everybody had their version. Some said Jay was transparent. Others said it was chess, damage control. Even Beyonce's name trended for 2 days straight.
As far as, is he going to turn people in? Is he going to cooperate? If the federal government wants him to cooperate and they're going to cut his time, because right now he's looking at 15 to life. With all the charges he had to, he won't get out until 70 years old. He about 70. That's when they start talking about letting him come to a halfway.
Her publicist, silent. And then, of course, 50 Cent jumped in, posted a pic of Jay on the stand. Nice performance, but we ain't forgot them brunches, my guy. Petty Hall of Fame. Look, Jay-Z walked into that courtroom with facts, documents, and a purpose. He didn't fold, but here's the real. When giants fall, everybody starts looking up, wondering who else might trip. Jay did what he had to do, protected his name, his family, but in the process, he exposed how easy it is to blur the line between witness and accomplice, just by standing next to power too long. This trial, it ain't just about Diddy, it's about an era, a whole generation of hush money, NDAs, and looking the other way. Jay-Z survived the stand, but legacy, that's the real trial, and it don't end in court. That's the game for today. You can stay blind or pay attention. I'll see you on the next one. Panda out.